It's the 24th of July, Wednesday, and for the last 2 days it's been incredibly hot. High 20s, 30 degrees, and even at night it was 20 degrees last night. But we had some big thunderstorms last night. It didn't last very long, a couple of hours. And the river is showing a little bit of colour as a consequence, although it hasn't come up very much, maybe a smidgen. So I've come down to this stretch here. It's got a little bit of pace on the far side, and it's 5 o'clock. The temperature has subsided to 26, and I'll take the temperature of the water in a minute. So let's just get cast in and settle back. And Boris Johnson has just been to see the Queen. He's the new Prime Minister. The water temperature is 21 Celsius, which is 66 Fahrenheit, so it's really warm. This flower is called tansy. There's quite a big patch of it here. It looks very similar to ragwort, but it doesn't have any petals. And it's the food plant for a very rare beetle, the tansy beetle, which is brilliant green, about the size of a fingernail. And there's only one place in the world where it's found, and that's down on the Ouse, on the Ings at York, Fulford Ings, I think. It used to be collected and people made jewellery with it, but now it's a very protected species. And they're trying to increase its range I think at Bunningborough Hall they've been planting tansy and introducing beetles there. And I made a video of it a couple of years ago. But I've searched this patch of tansy, I can't find tansy beetle anywhere. It's covered with all kinds of insects, and soldier beetles and pollen beetles and stripy hoverflies, ladybird, and strange looking little wasp. All eating the pollen. The plant itself is very common, particularly on riverbanks. There's several patches of it here at Fordington, but no beetles unfortunately. You can see the difference between the two. This is ragwort, which has petals and a very different leaf. And of course it's very poisonous to horses. That was some take. It's completely out of the blue. And it's a lovely fish. Dorsal fin on it. The water is very warm. You get this back in very quickly and leave it to rest. Well, it's 10 o'clock and it's been an absolutely boiling hot day and lovely warm evening. Anyway, as the swans make their way downstream to wherever they're going, it's probably time to call it a day. I'll fish on for a little while. It's still a little bit late, but I don't expect to catch anything else after that explosive take. Frightened me to death. And that lovely barbel. So from the backs of the River Swale here at Fordington, take care. We'll see you again. Bye bye. Well, while I was sitting on the bank and for about 5 hours, having finished reading my newspaper, I started browsing through the Leeds book, as you do. And I noticed on this list in the book the name J.H.R. Bazley or J.H.R. Bazley. He was the winner of the first prize in 1903, 1907 and 1909 when he was a member of West Leeds, and then he followed it up with further wins in 1922, 1926 and 1927 when he was a member of Bramley Angling Association. Now the reason I noticed his name, apart from the frequency it appeared on this list, was because I have a couple of his books on angling, and two initials of his Christian name were the same as those used in a very famous advert for Yellow Pages about finding an angling book. J.R. Hartley. You have to be of a certain age to remember that. I mean, now everything's on the internet, and the Yellow Pages bit the dust this year in 2019. And it's a little photograph of Mr. Bazley, or Mr. Bazley. We'll call him Bazley. he was president of Leeds Dassa for 14 years, and he won the All England Championship in 1909 and again in 1927. But he also captained Team Leeds to wins in 1909, 1910, the first year of the World War One, 1914, and again in 1928. So it must have been something special. I discovered he was a school teacher. He was born in Gloucester, and his first fishing experiences were on the Severn. And he's published quite a number of books, which are readily available. They're not wildly expensive, and they make for a very interesting read certainly for northern anglers. Unfortunately, shortly after he published his book, The Art of Coarse Fishing, in 1932, he died aged just 61 in 1933. Some information said he was buried in Horsforth Cemetery, but when I looked on the Horsforth Cemetery website, they have no record of him at all. Anyway, that's by the by. But there were other well-known Leeds match fishermen from sort of post-war anyway. One of them was a guy called Kenny Kendall. He had a shop in Leeds, and he sold centre-pin reels which he had manufactured by a Leeds engineering company, and they're very highly priced now, very expensive if you can get all of them. I see the occasional one on the internet. And then two others were a chap called Robson and another guy called Thompson, who was in fact the world champion in 1981. I mean, that's a major feat. Now, I know nothing about match angling. I'm a complete ignoramus about this whole business. So I dropped in at Ullerskelf last Sunday while I was down in that neck of the woods, where they hold a match every Sunday during the summer months, and they book the whole length. There are 75 pegs on this length. It was another world, completely alien to me. The first thing I noticed was that most of the anglers were, how can I put it, of a certain age. Secondly, I noticed that some of the walking they had to do to their pegs was miles from the car park. Especially when you consider the amount of stuff they took with them. And thirdly, a barrow was a must-have accessory. You had to have a barrow. Barrows were de rigueur. Now, I'll talk more about them later. With the chap on peg one, he was in his 80th year. And from the car park to his peg was half an hour's walk, shoving this barrow loaded with gear. And he thoroughly enjoyed it. He told me he'll continue doing it as long as he can. A lot of camaraderie there was, which was nice to see. It was pretty intense stuff. As I walked along the bank, these anglers had a sort of gimlet eye on the end of the rod, waiting for the slightest twitch, in the hope of catching a fish. Most of them didn't even notice as I walked past, or even stood behind them watching what was going on. I discovered later there was a sizable wedge to be won, which probably accounted for this intense fishing. Nothing like Yorkshireman and money. This I think is going away for a month. You're right. I couldn't believe how much stuff they took with them. There must be stuff in these boxes which has never seen the light of day for generations. Now every angler had a barrow, and they varied from very smart professional looking jobs to the sort of homemade knocked up contraption, a sort of accumulation of recycled bicycle and pram bits. It's a sort of adult version of kids' bogies. You know, these bogies used to fly around the streets. And they seem to be built to meet anglers' needs. And those needs appeared to me anyway to be the more stuff the better. I got the impression that some of them were sort of family heirlooms. They had that sort of age about them, passed from generation to generation. Each generation adding a little bit of extra storage space so they could get even more stuff piled up on top of it. I was reminded of those wooden puzzles you used to get at Christmas. You know, what these sort of things that once you got them pulled apart, you couldn't get them back together again. I mean, loading the barrel seemed to be a skill in itself. Everything had its place, and everything had to be put on in the right order. If anything was misplaced, nothing fitted. The whole lot had to be sort of started again. It's amazing to see. I mean, as I walked along the bank, I came across this monumental pile of smouldering ashes, smoking away, right on the edge. It was as if some angler had sort of passed away, and they'd piled him on top of his barrow with all his gear, and cremated it all, sort of Hindu style. Waited for the next river wharf flood to take it all away to the sea. The other memorable thing was, as I walked along the bank, and I walked the full length of it, there and back, once the weighing was complete, was the sort of multitude of unrepeatable and colourful ways the anglers had of saying that it hadn't been a very good day. Well, the huge matches, and I can remember the huge matches taking place in certainly in the 1960s, but before then, I mean, they've all disappeared. It's a shame to see it sort of sadly sort of slipping over the horizon, but there seems to be no take-up from the younger generations. But it was a fascinating experience. Anyway, I'll see you again. Take care. Bye-bye. This is peg 65 is trotting down now with maggots in this match at Ulleskelf. So this is peg 1 on the Leeds Kirby Wharf Ulleskelf bit. This is the very top. See a fair number of snags in the river there, and that's looking down towards Kirby Wharf and Ulleskelf, and that's looking up, and there used to be a sign on the bank here saying Tadcaster Angling Club, but that seems to have disappeared. That's peg 1, that's the river. If I just turn round, you can see Tadcaster in the distance. There's a little copse here, a little pond, I think, with some oak trees and willows. So When you see that's the very top of the lead's length. Well, it's 5 to 5, so I'll see how long it takes me to get back down to Ullerscalf at a steady pace without having to shove one of these barrows these blocks are shoving here. Goodness me. And they have to shove them miles. So that's the lane up to Kirby Wharf, and from there up to Peg 1 is just over 20 minutes. I'm standing here on Peg 25. So this is Sunday, they've been fishing a match here. Oh, the barrow's absolutely loaded down with gear and you have to shove it for miles. It's definitely, I mean, they're all elderly as well. I say all elderly, most of them are elderly. I would think it's a young man's game, is this? Blooming hard work. Well, I'm back down here at Peg 75. It's taken an hour to walk the full length at a steady pace at Ullerscalf.